It's finally happening. Oh man, it's finally happening. We are here. We did it. We got here after 2 years and millions of dollars and endless discussion. Even the mainstream media talking heads are throwing in the towel on the crackpot conspiracy that is Russiagate. It wasn't mentioned at all during the first Democratic debate this week, and I'm about to show you a clip of a very well-known mainstream media talking head calling out her colleagues for continuing to have anything to do with the neo-McCarthyist Cold War-era sham that is Russiagate. And as I think all of you know by this point, I don't like Donald Trump, all right? You don't have to be a Trump fan to get this. I am no Trump fan. You don't have to be a card-carrying member of Team MAGA to see through this ridiculous conspiracy nonsense. This whole thing really has followed the path of that famous Gandhi quote, first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. It really has gone through that trajectory. Those of us who said this psychopathic, xenophobic bullshit was bullshit have been out in the wilderness for 2 years now. Not just me, but people like Glenn Greenwald, Chris Hedges, Jimmy Dore, Aaron Monte, Max Blumenthal, Ben Norton, so many others. We were ignored, then we were laughed at, then they fought against us. I myself was trashed in the pages of the New York Times and NPR's Weekend Edition. But now, we're finally around to the we win part. You know we've won because even the mainstream media is folding. They can't keep it up. They can't keep up this horse shit. They can't defend their position any longer. So in this clip you're about to see, this is Krystal Ball, yes, that's her real name, Krystal Ball, who co-hosted a show on MSNBC for 3 years called The Cycle. It ended in 2015. Now she hosts a web show for the mainstream outlet The Hill. She has run for office as a Democrat, but she is basically a mainstream talking head. She doesn't normally say anything that shocking. She's not going to floor you, not going to cause your brain to explode. It's all basic Democratic Party politics. Obama was good, Trump is bad. There's a huge difference between the two of them. She doesn't focus on the fact that the two corporate parties are funded by the same interests and really have the same goals. So with very few exceptions, she's a good mainstream corporate liberal, only questioning the things that it's acceptable to question when you work for corporate America. But she couldn't stay quiet no more. This is from last week after the Mueller hearing.
So after watching 7 hours of a spectacle that felt much more cruel than enlightening, I can no longer avoid pondering a question which honestly gives me no joy to ponder. Just how much damage has MSNBC in particular done to the left? Now, this critique is not meant to be personal to the anchors and the commentators there, many of whom I know, some of whom are actually close friends, having worked at that network for 5 years, but nearly all of whom got swept up in the ratings bubble that was feverish Russian conspiracy theories.
Yes, 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 thank you. Thank you, Krystal, for getting it. Kinda. Mostly. Basically getting it. I mean, you're pinning it on the wrong thing. It's not just ratings. I mean, sure, some of the segments on, Russian conspiracy got a bunch of ratings, but a lot of things get ratings, and covering the same shit every night is not really about ratings, is it? It was initially about distracting from the true corruption that was revealed in the DNC emails, distracting from the Democrats' inability to beat Donald fucking Trump, distracting from the fact that the Democrats don't stand for anything different than the Republicans when you dig down and really look underneath and see all the things crawling out. They don't. Tax breaks for the rich, check. Wall Street unfettered, check. Endless war, check. Massive surveillance state, check. Corporate control of our government, check. Deporting more immigrants than ever before, first Obama, now Trump, check. Ignoring climate change, check. Big ag and fossil fuels subsidized in a gigantic way, check. Capitalist exploitation of every man, woman, and non-binary, check. So Krystal doesn't really understand it, but she's halfway there, and that's important. She's calling out her own mainstream media for the madness that has been the Mueller investigation. And at least for one person, she does name names.
At MSNBC, as in all things, systems and incentives are far more important for analyzing any particular situation than individual personalities. However, I dare to say, some talent did drink more deeply of the Russia conspiracy waters than others. Rachel Maddow, you've got some explaining to do.
Oh, yes! No, she didn't! Rachel Maddow, you've been served! Yes, Maddow didn't just invent all kinds of hilarious conspiracies. I think the Russians control your weather. I think they're rigging your electricity or something. She's also infected other people with her idiocy. She infected their brains with Maddow disease. When a friend or family member comes down with a wackadoo conspiracy about Russians, rather than looking at, oh, I don't know, the reality in front of us, the way our elections are rigged 100 ways by us, by our own ruling elite, when they have a tendency to go towards the Russian conspiracy, they are struggling with Maddow disease. But this is a big moment, though, for these standard corporate talking heads to start turning against those who still grasp at the straws that is this parade of horseshit. And I know that's a mixed metaphor, but I like it. It's like watching a bank robber steal from other bank robbers. Normally, these people, the mainstream media, the corporate media, they don't turn on each other. Yet this has gotten so crazy that it's finally happening. But palm reader wasn't done, or tarot cards, or magenta aura, what's her name? Krystal Ball. Krystal Ball wasn't done.
Now, CNN and many other outlets are also clearly not blameless in this hype machine. And the Democratic Party was plenty happy to engage in this speculation, as well, as Sagar just pointed out. Individual members clearly loved that sweet cable news spotlight, but I single out my former employer in particular, in part because they were certainly the worst mainstream offenders.
Yes, they were. MSNBC was the worst of the conspiracy theories. But let's not act like it's just them. Nearly every outlet considered liberal media has intentionally used the sham of Russiagate to keep Americans afraid and in line. And that's what Krystal can't tell you in this segment. This wasn't just a, oopsie, we got it wrong on the whole conspiracy Russiagate thing. Oh no. It was not that. It was intentional. It was used to cover over the true crimes going on by our corporate state rulers. Although Krystal does get kind of close in this next part.
Think of the time and the journalistic resources that could have been devoted to stories, I don't know, that a broad swath of people might actually care about. Healthcare, wages, the teachers movement, whether we're going to war with Iran. I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, you tell him, Dodgeball, or Hairball, or whatever your name is. See, while I'm giving Ball a lot of credit for finally saying this, for finally calling out her colleagues, I can't give her full credit because she's acting like this was an accident, as if the mainstream media didn't realize they weren't covering so many important issues around the world having to do with our people and our nation and our everyday, like climate change and big banks and the oncoming economic crash of 2020. And factory torture farming, and the exploitation of the American worker. Like it was an accident. They got it wrong. And that's how Krystal Ball remains in the good graces of the corporate entities like The Hill, where she does this show. You don't call out the whole system. You pinpoint an area of it and act like it can so easily be fixed. It can be remedied. We just got to fix this one little thing. Acting like it was just Rachel Maddow. You know, if she had just spoken the truth, then our planet wouldn't be dying right now. The second reason I can't give Krystal Ball full credit is because she waited until now to say this. Where have you been? You sound like you knew this from day one. Why wait until it all collapses to stand up against it? You're a Krystal fucking Ball. Didn't you see this coming? Didn't you have your ESP turned up on high? Couldn't you piped up a little earlier? No, she's doing it now because with the conspiracies, they've all, collapsed. So she has cover. She has cover to do this now. It's okay to do it now. It's slightly more brave than not doing it now, though. But she's no Howard Beale screaming on the nightly news. She's saying the right thing basically when all other options have now been exhausted. But for standing up, even slightly, even now, I give Soccer Ball 3.5 stars.